Right. No. Quidditch is easy enough to understand.
Hey there guys, Nordic Warrior here, welcome back to my video game review series. So those of you who have been following my channel will know that I've recently been reviewing every Harry Potter video game. For my last review I looked at the Chamber of Secrets for the PS2. Today we're going to be looking at a spin-off game in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup, released in 2003, developed by EA. So with no Harry Potter movie coming out in 2003, and with EA wanting to milk as much as they could out of the license while its popularity was peaking, they decided to use what assets they had from the mainline series and use them to make a game entirely based on Quidditch, the fictional sport played in the wizarding world. It makes sense, I suppose, since EA at that point in time were very well known for their sport games such as FIFA, and Quidditch was a very fascinating and popular feature in the Harry Potter series. It made sense to capitalise on this by giving Harry Potter fans a way to experience Quidditch for themselves. It's true that prior to the release of this game, the mainline games in the Harry Potter series had their fair share of Quidditch mini-games, so it had been featured in video games before, but in those games Quidditch was incredibly simplistic. You basically only took control of Harry, and the Quidditch games basically consisted of flying through rings as the Gryffindor Seeker, trying to catch the snitch while racing against the other team's Seeker. That's basically the entire feature. In this game, however, you get to experience pretty much everything that the game of Quidditch has to offer, and for the most part it's pretty cool, though the game does have some issues which we'll talk about later. So the game begins in Hogwarts.
Welcome to Hogwarts. Now that you're here, you can choose which of the 4 house teams you'd like to take through to the Quidditch Cup.
You start the game by choosing your house team. You have 4 teams to choose from, consisting of every Hogwarts house: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw and Slytherin. Once you've chosen your house team, you get a series of tutorials where you learn about every single aspect of Quidditch. You get to take control of several specific players, depending on the situation. For the bulk of each game you will assume control of the Chasers. These are the main players who take control of the Quaffle and pass between each other, avoiding the enemy Chasers and trying to score. Each score gains you 10 points, and you will need to outwit and avoid the enemy Chasers and the Keeper. Once you master and get used to the passing mechanic, scoring becomes ridiculously easy. You have the Beaters, who serve a couple of functions. At certain stages of the game you will come across a Bludger. This gives you the option to assume direct control of one of your Beaters. By doing this you can smack a Bludger and try to direct it towards the enemy Chaser, who is carrying the Quaffle. If you're able to avoid the enemy Beaters and work around them, you can take out the Chaser and get them to drop the Quaffle. This is very fun to do. Sometimes you even get a funny animation of this happening, but this only happens rarely. You can also unlock a speed boost as a Chaser. This gives you a temporary boost of speed that lets you outrun the other Chasers to avoid being caught and tackled. You can tackle the enemy Chasers by simply flying at them, and this is very easy to do. In addition to this, you also have special moves that can take out an enemy Chaser in style. This will allow you to tackle them with a short animation. There are several of these in the game and these look really cool. In addition to playing as the Beaters and the Chasers, you can also end the game by taking control of the Seeker. Before doing this, however, you will need to take full control of the game. You can do this by improving your team's overall possession of the Quaffle. There are a couple of ways to do this. The easiest and quickest way to do it is to simply pass the Quaffle around the field as much as possible between your Chasers, and avoid being tackled or intercepted. You get a meter at the top of the screen that indicates how close your team is to spotting the golden snitch. Once you fill your meter, the snitch will appear, and you will then take control of the Seeker. Instead of flying through rings like in the previous Harry Potter games, in this game you simply follow the snitch by flying through the golden trail it leaves. Staying on the trail will fill your speed meter and allow you to speed boost after it. Once again, this is very easy to do. Catching the snitch is the only way to end a game, and it gains you 150 points, which usually guarantees you a win, but not always. Theoretically, you could score more than 150 points and let the enemy team catch the snitch and still win the game. So that basically sums up the basic core gameplay. And like I said before, you get a series of pretty good tutorials that familiarise you with each aspect of Quidditch. And you get a series of time challenges. Breaking the record will unlock Quidditch cards, more on those later. Once you have completed these tutorials, some of which unlock after your early games, you can enter into the Hogwarts Quidditch tournament to compete in various different seasons for the Quidditch House Cup. This is very fun to do. You can also replay these games at any time to try to increase your score, and you can of course choose the other houses to replay the tournament with if you want to. Once you complete the tournament and win the Quidditch House Cup, Professor Dumbledore will give you some free tickets to attend the Quidditch World Cup tournament. And that's when the game really begins. When you begin the World Cup tournament, you start by once again choosing your team from the roster. The teams you can choose from are England, USA, Japan, Germany, France, Australia, the Nordic team, Spain and Bulgaria. Bulgaria, however, will be locked off to you until you unlock 65 Quidditch cards. I of course chose the Nordic team. Once you've chosen your team, you basically play against all the other teams in a tournament format and travel the world, winning games, competing for the World Cup. What's pretty cool about this is while playing against the other teams and playing through the tournament, you actually get to play in various different venues around the world. Each of them will have their own country's national stadium, and all of these look really cool and really unique. Once you defeat a team in their home stadium, you will unlock that stadium for an exhibition mode. The same rules and basic gameplay mechanics from the Hogwarts section of the game are featured here, and most of the changes are cosmetic. It's very cool to see what the whole Quidditch scene looks like outside of Britain, because of course in the movies, Quidditch was mostly just in the background, and you never really got to see much of it outside of the first movie. Even in the Goblet of Fire movie, you get teased with a Quidditch World Cup game between Bulgaria and Ireland, yet just as the game is about to start, the scene ends and it skips over it. Which makes me wonder, why isn't Ireland one of the playable teams in this game? You'd think they would be. It's just one of them things that seems like a missed opportunity, but yeah, I digress. One pretty cool feature during these games is that you can unlock a special move for each team. This gives you a cool animation that has your chasers team up to score some points. Each team has their own unique animation and these look awesome. I mentioned earlier that you can unlock Quidditch cards. You unlock these by simply playing through the game and completing various specific challenges, as well as simply winning games of course. These unlock various features in the game, such as playing as Bulgaria. So that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say about Quidditch World Cup. It's a fun spin-off game for the most part, and I suppose if you're a big Harry Potter fan, then you would most likely enjoy the concept of Quidditch games. This is about as immersive a Quidditch experience as you can get, so if you enjoy Quidditch, then I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy this game. My main problem with the game, however, is it gets to a point where it's incredibly repetitive and tedious. I think by the time I reached the midway point of the World Cup tournament, the game started to drag a bit for me. But I suppose being a sport game, you have to expect that to an extent. Also, it takes way too long to unlock all the Quidditch cards, and unlike the other Harry Potter games that rewarded you for being a completionist, in this game the rewards just aren't worth all the grinding in my personal opinion. Like I said, the game gets very repetitive at one point. The game also has some technical issues, mainly frame rate issues and texture pop-in at times. So all in all, Quidditch World Cup is a pretty good game, but unless you're a die-hard Harry Potter fan, there isn't really anything that you can get from it that you couldn't get from any average sport game, and there isn't as much replay value as you might expect there to be. I give Quidditch World Cup a solid 6 out of 10, which I personally think is a pretty fair score. Thanks for watching guys. Stay tuned for my next review where we are going to be looking at my personal favourite game in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching and God bless.